Hi, guys. Welcome back to Finding Your Indie. I'm Bonnie Paulson,
And I'm Mandy Stevens.
and we are here today. We're here for Monday marketing tips and tricks. And we've got a fun one today. I'm going to turn it over to Mandy.
Yeah, so today we're talking about the 50% rule. So, Bonnie, what exactly is the 50% rule?
Well, this one actually is kind of fun. I'm going to put, it's kind of like the mathy thing. I'm going to put the calculator on the screen.
And that's why I'm letting you talk about it today, because it's the mathy thing.
Yeah, it's the mathy thing. So I'm going to share screen and
Oh, no.
okay, so you can see this calculator. And when we're talking about the 50% rule, what we're talking about is users that our ads are actually reaching. The people that we're targeting. So Facebook, as you know, it'll say, oh, this is your potential customer, like 1 million to 7 million, 7 million, whatever. It gives you like a range. And it says, this is your potential audience. And then what we say is, it's like, oh, yeah, oh, that looks so amazing. I get to get seen by 8 million people or by 800,000 people. But what they're not telling you, the reason it says potential is because they know the 50% rule and they're assuming you know this 50% rule. So let's make sure you know the 50% rule. And I'm just going to kind of like, I can't give you the exact data points. I'm just going to show you how it breaks down. And we're just going to go 5 steps instead of how many there actually are. Okay, so we're going to first do this with 1 million, which is what a lot of people think is where they have to hit with their ads. If we do 1 million people for our target. So what is going to happen is the ad says that has 1 million people in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 zeros there. I'm going to double check. So you have 1 million people is who it says is your potential. But of those million people that you're targeting, we're going to divide it by 2, which is half. And that puts us at 500,000. So 500,000 people actually check their Facebook pages. Okay. That's just the first thing. So half of them actually check their Facebook accounts. As we know, not all Facebook accounts are still active. Not all Facebook accounts are checked often. Some people have multiple Facebook accounts. So that's what we're going to put into this 50% jump. Then we have another one. So this is our first one. Here's our second one. We're going to divide it by 2. So this is the one where half of those people have actually selected that they don't want to see ads. Okay. So 50% of the people who do check their accounts have said that they don't want to see ads. So you just lost another 50%. That's the second step of the 50%. Now let's do another one. Divide it by 2. Now we're down to 125,000. And these people actually might have previously liked, let's say you picked Hallmark. Okay. You picked Hallmark Channel. 50% of those people don't actually like the thing anymore that they had in their interest because Facebook tags them and leaves it on them as like their interest over the life of their account. So if you've ticked something like, yeah, I bought a Kindle, I have a Kindle Fire and it's on your account, they don't know that you got rid of it. They keep it on your account for the duration of the life of your account. So at one point you might have had a Kindle, but maybe you switched from Kindle to Nook and you're hardcore Nook now and you'll never touch a Kindle again. I don't know. But whatever your process is, now you're falling into the next one. Okay, now let's go for the next thing. There is a 50% rule. We're going to divide by 2. And I think this is the fourth one. And there's a 50% rule where there's something that is stopping us, a security thing, a privacy thing, a whatever outside of our control, like the iOS system, the iOS protection security thing, whatever happened. I don't even know.
Oh, yeah, that was awful for
that
ads.
was stupid.
Oh my
but
gosh.
there's always something that's going to glitch it. Okay. So yes, it was iOS at one point. I remember when it was also like, oh, now we have to click this, or, oh, now we're doing Instagram. And oh, like there's always something. Pinterest does things all the time. Google does things all the time. There is always something. So you've got another 50% breakdown. And I think that's 5. But you can, even if we did it one more time, even if we left it here at 62,500, you can see how your million people went down to 62,500. That's not a very big number. Now, there's other things that could take you down. For instance, people sometimes don't get on until say Mondays. Mondays might be the only day people get on, or people get on every day, or there's a lot of things that actually will flux for this. And it's 50% when it's actually more like you only get to save 30% of your numbers. But we go with the generous 50% because there are things in there that fluctuate. For instance, you can bulk up your audience if you add the right side, the right column ads. You can also cost more if you do that because that's a desktop. If you select desktop, but you select no Facebook, no mobile, you just cut yourself down by 75%. So there's actually a lot of things that fluctuate this number, but 50% rule is the fastest way to kind of sum it all up together. Okay.
But,
yeah. So I showed you with the million. Let's show you with a higher number. We like to shoot for between 6 and 9 million. It used to be between 3 and 5 million. Now it's 6 and 9 million. So let's look at that number. So we're just going to go with 6 million.
I have seen some people come to me that only had audiences of like 400,000. And I'm just like, who's seeing this?
Yeah, nobody's seeing this. You've got 10 people in your pool. It's so expensive. Exactly. Okay, so let's just do the 5 steps, the 5 whatever. So we're going to divide it by 2 once. That's 3 million. Divide it by 2 twice. Divide it by 2 3 times. Divide it by 2 4 times. Divide it by 2 5 times. So that's if we take it down to 5 times. That's 187,500. So that's a significantly higher pool. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, gosh, why not just take it to 40 million? Let's do, how many is that? 40 million. Okay. Well, let's just keep doing it that way. But I'm going to tell you why you don't want to do it that way. You could, and I see some people doing this. In fact, we have a video coming up on unrestricted targeting, but I'm going to tell you right now that the more broad your audience is as an author, this is not e-commerce, this is as an author, the more broad more broad. Thank you. The more broad your audience is as an author with a lower RO. Remember, you have a lower margin of profit here. So you have to be really careful with your audience. The lower, the bigger the audience that you serve to, the more expensive it's going to be. And I don't mean in terms of CPC, I mean in terms of conversion. So when you are niching down and you're making things nice and tight, you actually get higher conversion, regardless of the image that you use, regardless of the creative that you use, you get a higher conversion when you have a niche down target audience versus not. So for instance, I've been studying a lot of e-commerce stuff, and a lot of them are like, go broad, use Facebook's algorithms, go broad. And I'm like, that's great if I'm trying to sell shoes because everybody wears shoes, right?
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot smaller profit margin than, big products like makeup and
shoes,
beauty and shoes or sleds or whatever,
Or whatever. Shirts that have funny sayings on them. Sorry, but those are running $30-$40. Our books are $9 if you're on the higher end, $2.99 free. If you're running a free book and you're having to pay X amount of dollars, you already know that the conversion rate's pretty crazy. So
yeah,
I think it's just something that people you just need to be aware of. Do you have to live by this rule? Not at all. You can totally ignore what we're saying. However, we know what we're saying. So don't ignore us.
Don't ignore us.
I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I'm just saying
into account, take into account.
Just target better, make sure you're targeting, and get your audience down. Like I said, get below 10. I've seen people push it at 12 million and they seem to do pretty good. That's usually the wide audiences usually do better at 12 million. If you're more like a KU author, you don't want to be sticking up that large because it's a tighter, you just want to niche down the
tighter profit. I mean, yeah, you're not making as much as if you sold the book.
Yeah.
The payouts lately are like, oh
yeah, exactly. Payouts are so that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that another time.
Right. So how is this going to affect the marketing when you're
this affects big time, because if you don't know who your audience is, I've seen people who are like they're going to target. I've had people come to me and they're like, yeah, I've got a really great audience. And I'm like, yeah, do you? Let's look. And I look and I was like, you're just targeting sci-fi fantasy, like science fiction. And it's like, that's all you're targeting. Yeah. But my audience is 65 million. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah, your CPC is 2 cents, but it's taking you $5 to find the person that is actually going to buy from you. So that's costing you a lot of money. Oh, I can't figure out why it's not scalable. I'll tell you why it's not scalable. So it's kind of funny because what you want to do is you want to know who your reader is, who your target is. Are you going to be targeting just people who read. If you're direct sales, you need to be targeting people who are reading and buying and also possibly interested in merch. Like there's there's different mentalities. Are you just looking to sell your freebies? You need to know who your reader is, who your buyer is, if you want to be actually targeting them. So yes, you can go in there.
Important. Yeah, targeting is important. I just was looking through an account the other day and they were only targeting Kindle. So I'm like, I can definitely help you.
I can fix that.
I can fix that. Let me get my hands on this,
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a couple tweaks and stuff. You just need to know your audience. There are people who push the unrestricted targeting. And like I said, we will have a video on that. We have the data.
I'll keep my mouth shut until.
Yeah. Right. So, but knowing your audience is actually really good, and your mileage may vary. If you're a person who's out there and you're like, oh, unrestricted targeting is working great for me. Awesome for you. That's great. That's not going to be the case for everybody. It was not the case for me and 7 of my pen names. So yeah.
Me neither.
Just saying.
Me either. I just threw that money away.
Yeah, it was. I was like, okay, this is for testing. This is for testing. This is for testing.
We test things on ourselves. We don't do anything to our clients that we have not tested to ourselves.
Unless they're like, hey, I want you to test this. Then it's like, I don't want to test that on you. I haven't tested it on me yet. Like,
yeah. Well, that's, but if somebody comes to you, that's different. If you're just doing it because you're their ad manager and you think they should do it, then shame on you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, let's do it. Okay. So does that make sense? The 50%? I feel like I was all over the place, but that's pretty much what it is. Like you're not actually seeing the amount of people that Facebook is telling you that you're seeing.
Right. I have a question. So we're going to combat this. That just means you just have to target better, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. That's the best way to do it. Cause like, for instance, and I've used this example when I've talked to clients. So if you are walking into a huge library, okay, and there's a group of people behind you and you can't leave the library until they all find a book. Okay. And it has to be a book that they want to find. The best way to do this is to turn around and say, because you know where everything's at, right? Like you're working there, you have to go, you want to go home. And you're like, I only want to be here for a short amount of time. Let's get out of here. So you turn around and you say, go grab a book. They're going to be sitting there staring at you, or they're going to go out and start milling around. Some of them are going to sit down. If you're like, hey, what do you like? Okay, you're going to go over here. What do you like? You're going to go over here, right? And you're going to actually parse down and tell them, this is where you're going. This is exactly where you're going. So what if they were like, okay, you have to go and sell your one book to one person out of 100. You got to go find it. So what you would do is you would take your book and you wouldn't just go and say, do you like to read? Here's my book, buy it. You would go out and say, does anybody like, let's take Sweet Romance. Does anybody like romance? Anybody like to read romance books? Anybody, out of 100 people, you should be able to hit at least one. Then you go to that person or that group. It's probably going to be more like 5 to 10 people. And you go and you're like, okay, you like to read romances. Would you like this? No. If you're only interested in paranormal romances, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Okay. You right here, you like Hallmark romances. Great. Right. This is what I've got. And they're like, you have 3 people maybe now. And they're like, one might say, yes, I like that. That's good. Sold, bam, done, walk away. But you're not going to sit there and try to sell it to 100 people, because 100 people aren't going to want to read what you've got or eat what you've got or buy what you've got or sleep they're just 100 people, right? Times it by 1 billion. Like you cannot make everybody happy. So you should need to go into this mentality of, I want to get rid of as many people as possible and just find the one that wants my books. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even J.K. Rowling didn't hit all of the people. She hit like 1% of the readers out there. So yeah,
she did really well.
She did great. So yeah. Okay. That was a really good question. All right, guys. So thanks for coming on this Monday Marketing Tips and Tricks, and hit likes and subscribe and join our free Facebook group. We have Boss Mode coming up. Hive Mind is running. Join us. We would love to have you, and we would love to discuss some of your data with you.